Obamacare has wreaked havoc on American lives, and if we don't replace it, the calamity will only get worse, and I mean get worse by a lot.
Not everyone agrees with the US president's assessment of the country's healthcare system.
Stop! Trumpcare now! Stop!
His move to replace Obamacare has sparked protests, and some of his own party's legislators are opposing it, so Republicans don't have enough votes to turn their bill into law. Now they want to kill Obamacare before debating a new plan.
We'll be laying out a revised version of the repeal and replace effort.
The United States spends more on healthcare than all but 2 countries. And this spending is expected to grow further to 1/4 of the country's GDP within the next 8 years. Yet life expectancy in the country is lower than most developed nations, and insurance costs remain high. Without enough votes to introduce a new health bill, politicians on both sides are digging in their heels for a drawn-out debate. That could endanger some of America's most vulnerable people and put more pressure on its creaking healthcare system. Arabella Munro, TRT World.
Joining me now is Dr. Simon Haeder in San Diego, California. He's an assistant professor at the Department of Political Science at West Virginia University, and he's written extensively about healthcare policy. And in Paris is TRT World's Editor-at-large Craig Copetas. Craig and Dr. Simon Haeder, thank you both for joining us. Craig, I want to start with you first. It looks like Trumpcare is dead for now. It may not see the light of day, but Obamacare is also failing in many states. Why is that?
Cost. You're seeing the premiums rising anywhere 45, 55%, even higher. You have a lot of the major health companies like Aetna, which is a big one in the United States, has bailed out of, I think, 11 of 15 states. They've left. No longer in it. There are a lot of problems with Obamacare, little tiny minutia ones that are starting to pile up. For example, people weren't signing up because they would rather pay the tax if you didn't sign up, which was only $695 a person, roughly, which was a lot cheaper than signing up for health care. The insurance risk pools, people were drowning in them, and a big element in this, Azar, was that the government did not manage to, how should we put it, tame the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry. Everyone wanted to make a lot of money off of health care, and that's just not how health care really should work.
Indeed. Well, Simon, I want to turn to you now. Now, when you look around the world, which healthcare systems do you consider to be the most effective? In other words, which are the ones that deliver the best results for the amount that they spend?
I think we should start by saying that healthcare is an incredibly complex issue, and all countries are struggling to balance quality, cost, and access. Some countries are better than others. I think we have a lot of Western and Central European countries that are doing pretty well. More and more Asian countries, Japan, Taiwan, Singapore, are catching up, but all countries are struggling. As I said, I think Western Europe is doing pretty well, and we have emerging countries like Taiwan, which are really leading the way by looking at what other countries are doing well and learning from that.
Well, from your studies, what are the economic benefits of having a functioning, effective, universal healthcare system?
Well, advocates in the United States often make an ethical or humanitarian argument, but as you pointed out, there are good economic reasons to have a strong universal healthcare system. Let me give you 3 important reasons here real quick. One would be that you can further innovation by guaranteeing people healthcare, because they will be willing to strike out on their own, create their own companies, and not be worried about how they're going to feed their family. An issue that a lot of people outside the U.S. won't understand is that the issue providers have with reimbursement. If you don't have insurance, you still get sick and someone has to pay for it. And then finally, I think there's a tremendous economic cost associated with sickness, either your own sickness, you can't work well, or the sickness of your family and you have to take care of them. So I think there's strong economic reasons why a strong universal healthcare system is beneficial for an economy.
Craig, let me get back to you. So why can't the US achieve this then?
Well, because they're putting politics ahead of health. The politicians right now are spending more time trying to assign blame for failure than trying to fix the problem. Look at the Republican Party had 8 years out of power to forge a health care plan that might have worked. They didn't do that. Now the Republican Party in healthcare is being led by a former casino owner who builds hotels and used to have a game show on NBC television. Talk about a prescription for disaster. This is pretty much it. Yeah. And the big problem is this: as the doctor said, healthcare is very complex. And what the Republican Party did here is they came in and said, we're going to slash and burn Obamacare. They should have come in and said, there's some things in this program that don't work, let's try to fix them. But no, they had to try and make political, ideological points, and the people who are suffering are the American public who need health care.
Simon, let me put that same question to you. I saw you nodding there earlier. Do you agree with that it's politics that's trumping economics?
I think that's very much true. It's a very, very accurate statement. The Republicans here have a challenging position because the Affordable Care Act is basically the original Republican policy position on providing health care to individuals. It was developed by the Conservative Heritage Foundation, and the Democrats ran with it because they thought it was the only thing they could come up with. So now Republicans have to out-Republican the Democrats, and that's very challenging. The only thing they pretty much have left is, repeal Obamacare and go back to what we had before.
Final question to both of you. Simon, you first. Do you see the Republicans replacing Obamacare within the next year?
It's getting more and more challenging every day, but we should not count out Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He's a very skilled politician. He has a lot of resources on his side, outside the Congress as well, in form of campaign donations and interest groups pushing this.
Craig, Trumpcare in the next year?
If Trump wants to keep his bull market going, he'd better do it. If not, it's going down.
Great. Dr. Simon Haeder, Craig Copetas, thank you both ever so much.